Elon Musk was just handed his biggest L yet. A federal court in DC has just issued a restraining order barring Elon Musk and his group of sexless hackers from messing with the payment systems at the Treasury Department. This is a quick-moving story as this lawsuit was just filed a couple of days ago. Here's a little refresher.
Two federal government employee unions and the Alliance for Retired Americans are suing the government efficiency cost-cutting team led by tech billionaire Elon Musk. NPR's Bobby Allen reports the suit claims Musk is illegally accessing the personal information of government workers and taxpayers.
DOGE is analyzing payment systems at the Treasury Department. Elon Musk calls some of Treasury's trillions of dollars in annual payments criminal, though on what basis is not clear. Now, a lawsuit is asking a court to block DOGE's Treasury access, saying Social Security and disability benefits, tax returns, and the private information of federal government employees are at risk. Lawyer Noam Eisen is representing the plaintiffs.
We filed a lawsuit to say, hands off. You can't have my data. You can't have my spouse's data. You can't have my kids' data. That information is too precious.
President Trump has said Musk's work has required the explicit approval of the White House.
Well, it doesn't matter if Trump says it's okay because the federal court says no, it's not. Get your grimy little musky hands off of everybody's Social Security data. Because while these hackers may know about AI or whatever, this data is precious and they are still private citizens. Them having access to be able to read this data is already dangerous. But it turns out they might have also given themselves the ability to edit your data.
Last weekend, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave members of DOGE access to the system, then later claimed that the team only had read-only access. 3 federal employee unions have now sued, saying it is illegal. A U.S. district judge overseeing the case and now must sign off on the DOJ's proposed order.
Marty, these are very uncharted waters. You know, they set up Elon Musk as what's called a special government employee, meaning that he can work 130 days of the year and he doesn't have to do the background check like other government employees. And they say they've modeled DOGE after an Obama-era agency, the U.S. Digital Agency, where they can bring in an outside consultant. But I don't think we've ever seen somebody who has the potential influence of Elon Musk, who hasn't been confirmed by the Senate, who hasn't really had the background check that a typical government employee does have to have, a high-level employee. And, you know, he's got full sway with the government now. He's got a major job, and he still has all of his private interests intact. He still, runs a number of major companies in this country. So I think you're going to see litigation left and right as relates to his role, how long he'll be able to stay in his current kind of quasi-government, quasi-private role. Time will tell, but I think it's going to be potentially death by 1,000 cuts for him in his current position.
Well, and then you've got to wonder, any actions that he takes now, how might those be legally challenged down the road and potentially undone because of the role he plays?
I think everything he does is going to be a legal challenge. That's been the case so far. I think the really sensitive area is, giving him access to private payments by the government, Social Security payments, Medicare payments, disability payments, those types of things. Those are very sensitive and private, and given a private citizen, after all, he's not a full-time government employee. He's got this kind of special status. I think it's going to create problems. And so if by chance anything is ever revealed that, gets hacked in some way by his work, that'll create tremendous problems. But I think the Trump administration is going to have to make a decision here. Does he become kind of a kitchen cabinet guy, a guy who gives advice from a distance, or does he become a full-time employee and detach himself from his private interests? I think this in-between route that they've chosen is going to be tough to maintain because, as I mentioned, every time he turns around and does something, a lawsuit is going to be filed.
Right. So maybe acting more as an advisor would be less of a legal challenge than someone who's actually given the authority to go in and shut down USAID, for example.
I think exactly, Morty. I mean, President Truman had a kitchen cabinet. He had a lot of folks he talked to who gave him good advice that he listened to who weren't cabinet members, who weren't, approved by the Senate to their positions. I think he's on safe ground there. But I think when he gets into, looking at payments, firing people from the government in his kind of quasi-special government employee, I don't think that's going to ultimately fly, at least with some of the court decisions. I'm sure Musk will win some of the court decisions, but he's going to lose some of the court cases. And I think that's going to create kind of an untenable position for him in his current status. He can absolutely help the government. He can help the Trump team. But I think in his current role, it's going to be tough to maintain. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts.
And one of those cuts came just this morning. Let's take a look at how the federal judge bonked bonked Elon Musk over the head with the gavel of law. I've got the 2-page order here, filed by the Alliance for Retired Americans against Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury. With the consent of the parties, the court defers ruling on the plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and orders as follows. The defendants will not provide access to any payment record or payment system of records maintained by or within the Bureau of Fiscal Service, except that the defendants may provide access to any of the following people. Mr. Tom Kraus and Mr. Marco Elez, who are both these 20-something hackers that Elon brought in, will be given read-only access, and only so much is needed for the performance of their duties. So ordered just this morning. So it remains to be seen if Elon is going to abide by this order. It was already illegal for him to be doing what he's doing, and seeing as Donald Trump has ignored subpoenas before, it wouldn't surprise me if he told Elon to just keep going ahead. But if that happens, he'll be officially going against a restraining order, and then all kinds of hell can break loose. I hope they send their worst jackbooted thugs in there to pull him out by his ankles. This is a developing story, so we'll keep you updated. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.